Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today we are going to talk all things Neocolor. We're going to swatch some and then we're going to go over a few different ways to use them. Okay, so Neocolors are something that when I sort of get questions about them, and I didn't really think that I used them that much, but I have found that I do quite often sort of use them here and there. So I have a few different ways to talk about how we can use them, and then we're just going to swatch these ones as well to start with. We'll actually swatch the warm colours in this video, and then by the time I finished filming and editing this, I actually forgot to swatch the cool colours, so I will do that and pop that in another video. But yeah, so this is a little set that I got recently. This is the 15 Neocolor ones. So these are not water soluble, all the others are water soluble, and I actually really just should have gotten the water soluble ones. I was thinking I could use these as like a resist, but I'm not really loving them for that, so I think I should have just probably got a couple of colours and then just got Neocolor ones. But anyway, so what we have there is a bunch of Neocolor 2s, and I have been collecting these for a few years, just a few here and there, and I'll kind of show you that progression. But so what I'm doing is just breaking off the bottom, so I'm kind of leaving the top part with the tip, and then I'm just breaking off like an inch or sort of whatever's sort of coming off at the bottom, and I'm just putting these all in together. And what I found is that instead of 15 colors in this tray, I can now fit 40 colors in, and it's a very slim and compact tray that I can just, it's easy to, you know, travel or kind of take, so you can kind of see that through the video as well. So you can see the colour selection that they have and they offer is really beautiful, and we're going to swatch it in this handbook journal. So I have shown this one on the channel before. This is a larger version, but this is actually it comes with like the red paper at the front, so the paper is thinner. This one's a 200-pound. The one we're going to swatch them in today is a 300-pound. So they have the blue covers, and you can kind of see on the back of some of these pages where you will get the kind of crinkle from the the previous page. So I really don't mind that. We have used this in the color spotlight videos on the channel, which we might get back to at some point, but they're quite a lot of work to get organized. But and then you can see here, like at the start of lockdown, I was doing a little 2-week teacup challenge with Liz Steele, and then she has a class coming out about that at the minute as well, which looks amazing. So yeah, and anyway, so you can see the paper, and I really do like this sketchbook. It's not cotton, but the benefit of having a cellulose paper when you're out sketching, especially like when you're out and about, the paper dries really, really quickly. So everything that I did this week that you'll see, it was dry, you know, pretty much as soon as you finished it, it is dry. So that is really helpful when you're trying to do sort of quick sketches on location or things like that. So and actually if you look at, I'll link a video of Elizaveta Smirnova below, and she always uses these kind of sketchbooks, and just she makes incredible work so on location. So yeah. Okay, so let's get into the swatching. So some of these are Neocolor I. So this is a Neocolor I. This is Scarlet, which means that you can't reactivate it with water. So And you can see here, like I'm just showing you, you can see the Neocolors ones because they have those kind of ridges, that kind of, like the kind of striations that go up them. So they are pretty easy to distinguish, you know, in amongst the other ones. So yeah, this next one is Vermilion. And yeah, what I'm doing with the swatching, and I think it's interesting and kind of important to kind of think about like how you want to swatch things. So generally, you know, there are so many different ways to swatch things. This one is Flame. I think this is a Neocolor II. And then this one is orange, just orange. This is a Neocolor I. But the interesting thing about swatching is that there are so many ways to do it, and the swatching, you want to do it in the way that benefits you and helps you to figure out your supplies and kind of helps you in the way that you want to use those supplies. So what I'm doing here is I am just doing I'm doing a little line a few different ways so that I can see like how thin of a line I can get versus, you know, a thicker line. And then I'm also doing these kind of ovals with a lighter pressure, and then in towards the center doing a really hard pressure to kind of fill in all that white space and see if I can get that to work on this kind of paper because it's got a little bit more texture. Okay, so I'm running a little behind here. This row we started with Raspberry, which is a Neocolor II. I think these are all Neocolor IIs. Then we had Pink, and this one here is Salmon Pink. And then this one is Salmon. So they have like a beautiful range of pinks, and these were the first ones that I actually got, which I will show you later in the video. I will also list these below in the order that we swatch them as well, so if you're looking for the name of any of them, they'll be down there. Yeah, so I also realized at this point that I wanted to wet the ones that are water soluble so that you can kind of see those in action as well. And then, yeah, I was swatching, I was kind of doing it more how I would paint with them. So I would just normally paint one and then not rinse my brush out. So, but yeah, then I realized I needed to do that for these to help the swatches be the correct color. But yeah, that is more how I would, if in a painting, I wouldn't be rinsing my brush every time after I kind of, you know, painted on one or whatever. I would just kind of keep that moving, and then that way you get a lot of beautiful color variation in the piece as well. Okay, so we just did ochre, and then we did flesh, and then this one is yellow, just yellow. And I will also list if they are a Neocolor I or a Neocolor II, but you also should be able to see that by the ones that I wet will be Neocolor II, and then the ones that won't reactivate with water, they will be just Neocolor I. So this one here is Canary Yellow. Okay, so on this row we had brown to start with, a Neocolor I, then we had bronze, that's a Neocolor II. That is one of my favourites, the bronze. It's like a burnt sienna, but it's just a really pretty one. The next one we did is Ashe Grey, and that is also one of my favourites. And then this one here is silver. So I think those two are both Neocolor I. Yeah, but just really beautiful. I really love actually all the neutrals. They do a really nice range, and the thing about neutrals is you want a really pretty one so that it doesn't kind of muddy up the artwork, but it actually sort of enhances it. So okay, so on this row we have black, Neocolor I, then we have Sepia, which is a Neocolor II, and then this one here is light beige, that's a Neocolor II. That is also one of my favourites and one of the first ones that I got as well. And then we have silver grey, which is, it's like the light beige is like a warm grey, and then the silver grey is like a cool grey. So again, like really, I love like these six, and they're just really beautiful, beautiful neutrals. So I think one of the important things about trying a new, like a new medium, or something different as well, is just get a couple of your favorite colors, because you're more likely to use them, and see if you like them or not as well. So I think in the beginning I just got like 5 or 6 of them. You can see like those two are like my favorites, the Ashe Grey and the light beige. One of each, like a Neocolor I and a Neocolor II. But yeah, if you just, so you can see like this little collection, and literally because they're not like a primary medium for me, so I didn't really need them. Like watercolor is where it's at for me. So but I would just, if we were in the art shop, I'd just get even like 1 or 2. So it's taken me a few years, and I'm really happy with this little collection, and it's nice just kind of having them somewhere like this where they're kind of all together and they're just easily accessible. So I will show you later on how, like, I'll just pick up one of these and do a little sketch, or something I'm thinking about, or try a different color palette. But yeah, so anyway, we took these out on a few adventures this week. I feel like Neocolors have really come into their own in the art community of just going out plein air painting and using them. So it's a very different way than I have ever used them. So this week I decided we would just go out onto the patio. So nowhere too difficult, and we would kind of sketch this. I've been looking at this kind of ironwork for a couple of years and trying to figure out like if I could or how I would paint it. So the first day that we did, so I did this kind of over a few days, and kind of thought this would be good to film for the video. But the first day I actually didn't even take the Neocolors out, because I just wanted to kind of familiarize myself with this scene. So I just used the Caran Technalo pencil to sketch, and then you can see there I have the art graph, and I just used that to put in a little bit of like a little bit of the foliage there, so in amongst the leaves. And I'm still kind of using it in very much in a watercolor way, so adding in, like, kind of leaving the highlights and adding in the darker areas. Okay, so it's now the second time that we're out there, and I just started. So the first time as well, I'm not using a eraser. I didn't even take one out, so I'm just sketching and then just seeing how it goes. So the first thing that I do here is just take a Neocolor I, and I just sketched out the leaves, and then I actually, so also the fence here, I think I used Ashe Grey, so it's also a Neocolor I, and I just sketched that out, and then basically I just started to build some more layers of the Neocolor, and then I added some watercolor as well. So I have a few videos actually about the Sennelier Petite Travel palette that I'm using here. So I've actually taken out a lot of the half pans and added in extra colors. So yeah, and it was actually really enjoyable, like sketching this way. So the other, and you kind of never know, like when you start, you know, using a new medium or an old medium in a new way, you kind of never really know how you're going to enjoy using that. So you just got to kind of experiment and play around and yeah, see how it goes. But you can also see how the sketch that I've done here is a lot larger than the one on the last page. I'll kind of flip through and show you at the end. And that's because the line that I can get with the Neocolor is a lot larger than you can get with, you know, the point of a graphite pencil or a graphite watercolor graphite. So yeah, so you've got to kind of take those things into consideration, and that's why I really enjoyed sketching it out the first day in pencil, so I could kind of get my bearings on just the actual detail, and then today I can kind of go in and play with scale and change things around and, you know, play with color and things. And we had this deer that was accompanying us, but Rosie was upset, our little dog was upset that she couldn't go over to it. So yeah, but anyway, so then that's kind of where I got to. So I haven't taken a lot of time as well. The first day probably was 20-25 minutes, and then this day was probably half of that time. So yeah, or like around 15 minutes maybe. So then I just came inside and kept layering, kept playing, and just kept kind of seeing if it would work. Like at this stage I was a little bit grumpy, I didn't really like it. And the nice thing about Neocolors is that different to watercolor, where it's very hard to pare back, and you know, like if you add too much dark, you can't really take that off. But the nice thing about these is you can just keep layering and getting some lights and some brights back into the painting, which is really nice. So I just kept like adding little things, and then here I'm actually adding some more leaves. And what I really enjoyed about putting the Neocolor over the watercolor in that way, so that it's like another layer of kind of transparent yeah, like outlines, you know, on top of the watercolor, which I really liked. So then I just as well, like I kind of left it here for a little while. One of the things about doing your sketches or artworks is if you feel like you want to leave it, you can. So like I get quite a few questions on overworking things, and I guess that's something that you come to as you paint more, and sometimes you kind of feel like you want to take that risk and just keep layering, keep working on it, and sometimes you feel like you just want to leave it for a while. So that's what I did. I left it, And then I came back and just added some last kind of things. So you can see here, this is acrylic gold. So I added, just with my finger, I just added a few little gold leaves in there. And then I also added some, it's the Edding Mellow Mint paint marker. And I think I got these in a haul last year, and then I just added a little bit of that over the leaves. I wasn't happy with like the purple leaves. They were really dark and really heavy, which just didn't feel at all like, you know, how it felt. So I just added that, and then I added a little bit of neon pink acrylic paint and a little bit of the gold. And yeah, so we'll call that day a pretty decent success. And then this was the, so actually there is a third day coming up, but I'm just showing you here how to sketch this railing. So if you want to sketch along, yeah, I'm just kind of going over that. So a couple of tips for sketching architectural details is, first of all, you can simplify things. You don't have to draw everything in, you know, the exact, you know, really the like real detail. And then the second thing is to do both sides at the same time. So do one side, then do the other side. It'll help keep things more proportional. Yeah, and then I'll just let you kind of watch this so you can sketch along. But I'm just keeping things pretty simple, and basically it is just a series of like lines and curves, is basically like some sort of ovals or circles and lines and curves. So So the other thing I wanted to mention, and hopefully you can see here, that it doesn't matter if you get some of the lines wonky or wrong. And sketching with a Neocolor I, especially like something that you can't erase. You know, we've talked on the channel before about getting more painterly lines and sort of loosening up in your artwork, and this is a good way to work on that. And you can see even that I'm using the broken side, so I really like using the broken side. I actually thought that I would want to sharpen these, or just like make a kind of a point with a like an X-Acto, but I found that I just really like using these broken sort of side, and it gives you a really nice line. It's a little bit like pencil marks, the way I like to draw it. So yeah, it's definitely a nice way to just try kind of loosening up and sketching out things in a, you know, without being too you know what I'm trying to say, just relaxing a little bit more about your sketch and not worrying that you have to get it perfect or you have to erase it, that you can just kind of, because the line is permanent, you can just leave it there, and then you can, you know, try again, and you'll see like a lot of times there, like I might have done the line a little bit wrong, and then I just sort of go over it and correct it and just add to that line. So yeah, that was the first way that I like to use the Neocolors, is just to sketch. So and we'll go back to day 3 and we'll do a little bit more sketching as well with them. But the second way that I like to use them is to layer them and then to wet them and get that kind of really nice color happening. So you can see a little bit here, and then I will also talk about this a little bit later on in the video as well. So also, hopefully this video is coherent. This has been a week. I'm pretty exhausted at this point. So, and also sorry that the video is a little bit late. Yeah, I have been trying to get this up since I actually had the video almost finished Friday night, and then just doing the voiceover has been just quite difficult. So yeah, so anyway, yeah, you can see here that like you can layer it, and then you can use the brush, and most of that actual line work with the Neocolor IIs will disappear. And you can see as well how soft and delicate of a like colouring that you can get there, or a layer that you can get if you just use them a little bit. You don't have to use them, you know, to full saturation and get a really strong colour there. And then also I'm using the Caran Technalo there as well, just to give a little bit of shading in the corner. This is a water soluble, like it's a graphite pencil, but it's got like kind of more of the brown undertones, which I really like. And then I'm also just using here, this is the Derwent XL graphite, I think. I'll have to figure out which one it is. I think it's the 04 burnt umber possibly, but I will leave that below. This is probably my favorite of all the XLs. And yeah, so I'm just kind of using a little bit of that to put in the leaves here as well. And again, I'm just kind of incorporating different art supplies that I enjoy, and then, you know, adding them with the Neocolors and kind of seeing how they work together. So yeah. Okay, so this is the third day, and you can see that I have done the sketch in the Neocolor I, the Ashe Grey, and then I left a little bit of room there, and I just painted in watercolor. So I didn't sketch this in with pencil or anything. I just used the watercolor to create a few roses. So I'm actually changing the composition here now, and I'm thinking about our roses that we had at our old house, and yeah, I'm sure they'll be just about to bloom. So I was just thinking about those, and then I sketched a few of those in with, like I just put the roses in first, and then I sort of put the leaves around them. And so I'm actually creating a whole different like little garden. And you can see here, I'm just showing, this is kind of how I sketched the roses. So I just kind of put those in wherever I wanted to. I'm just using shell pink, and then I use a little bit of Ochre rose and potter's pink to just add the kind of the deeper parts of them. I was actually also thinking about peonies. So we didn't have any of them growing, but so my brother's birthday was the other week, and we went to this like hobby shop to see if they had any of the, anyway, some miniatures for him, and they had around kind of the side there were some peonies growing. So I was also thinking about those, so which they are a very kind of nice way to paint like a rose, because they're very sort of free, you know, free form. So yeah, so basically at that point I could have left that and as like a safe, you know, place, like I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, and it's not, you know, out of my comfort zone. So then I just decided, and this is kind of where you make those decisions, do I leave it or do I keep going and possibly overwork it? But you kind of just, you need to know that. So sometimes you do kind of keep going and keep working and just see, you know, how things work out. So that's what I did with this one. Still, yeah, I'm only 50-50 about it, but yeah. I kept adding like different bushes and the sunshine, and then just by the end of it, and I think some like leaves in the tree. I wasn't sure if I'd just leave it. And it kind of needs a little bit more colour probably in the bushes, but yeah, I'd never get the video out if I just kept working. So I left it there for now, and I think so now we are going back to just the second kind of way that I like to use Neocolors, which is layering them. And layering them in, this is the Academy sketchbook. I showed this in I think a recent haul, and you can see that I did like, I sliced down the back spine there. I show you on like one of the haul videos, but so that it opens. But you can see on the back page there, so I used a gold marker to sketch out the roses, and then so this is the gold leafing one, but I like just as much the calligrapher's gold ones, and they're I think half the price. So I've been through quite a few of those, so this one just happened to be like at my local art shop, so I grabbed it. But yeah, so then around there I basically just layered I think it was the bronze and then the salmon, and then I just kind of wet that and created a background. So that is a really nice way to use them as well. And I think that a gold marker since is going to go in like my Plein sketch kit, since I can't kind of take my gold ink and nib pen. Yeah, I think that'll work. So, and then you can see here, this was just a really quick sketch one at night. I was really exhausted at this point, but I wanted to just put down some of the white Neocolor I and see if it would, if I could use it as kind of a resist. And then I just was layering in some of the peaches and the purples to kind of again, just look at the different colouring that you can make. You're kind of making yourself like a paint by numbers, I guess. So layering in those different colours and then adding the water and kind of activating them and see how they blend. And then you can also go back in, which I've done with the roses, go back in and add some more colour over the top. Like you can add more layers, which is really nice. You can also add watercolor over the top, which is also really nice. And then what I realized is I've used Neocolor in this little sketchbook quite a few times. So the light blue there is Neocolor. This page, the rose on the right, the kind of like peachy orange one, that's all Neocolor. And then yeah, on the back page there, so yeah, like this rose is Neocolor. The top one is Caran pastel pencils, which this paper did not really like. It started to really like pill. And then the frame there is also the Neocolor. So yeah, but you can see here that I like to use them on their side as well, so it gives you more coverage and yeah, just to get kind of larger areas filled. And again, I'm like using different colors and then they blend together so beautifully. So So at this point there was a lot of negative space like around the roses here, so I wanted to try using the gold pen and just sketching in some I really love like old tapestry, so I'm always kind of thinking about that when I am working as well, like worn parts of the tapestry and just the beautiful like intricate and delicate way and the time that it takes them to do it. So but you can see like the paper was still wet, so the pen was just kind of tearing it up. But yeah, anyway, so then what am I showing you here? So this is the third way that I like to use them. This is one of my favorite ways to use them. So this is an old traveler's notebook that I made, and I show you how on my other channel, which is Heirloom Luxe. And so there's a lot of like videos about traveler's notebooks and, you know, creating journals and all that over there. But this is so I took this on a trip, but I also used this so much. So this palette, and I'll show you some of the things that I painted with this. And I just had these Neocolors, and like for quite a few years, and I just would keep going back to this little palette, adding some more crayons. So I'll show you in a minute. You just draw the crayon straight onto the like paper, so you want like a sturdier, like a watercolor paper, and then you just can take the color straight from this palette then and use it to paint. So you do need a little bit more color, like if you want to you know, use like make it stronger, but at the time I really wanted these kind of delicate colors, and I'll show you why in a second. So you can see here I'm just adding this color straight back on top, and then you can just keep reusing it. So I was going to make a palette with these, but I've run out of time, so we'll do that in another video as well. But yeah, so this was like my palette. You can see there's a few, I think 4 of those were the Neocolor II, and then quite a few things in this sketchbook. So this was 2018. The roses were done with the Neocolors off that palette like that, and then these 2 things here were done with the Neocolors like that. So the peony on the left was completely done with the Neocolors. That's just ink, and then I just sketched. I used the Faber-Castell graphite aquarelle, the watercolor graphite, to sketch the, you know, stem and everything. And then this dahlia was also done. I think I might have added in like some yellow paint as well. But yeah, most of those were done with the just the Neocolors to get that just really soft, delicate feeling. And then so in here, this was my like my planner and kind of go-to book and situation last year, and so I really enjoyed using the Neocolors on this Leuchtturm paper. So you can see them kind of all swatched out here, and then I would just often like use them, like for example on this page I'd just gotten the greenish blue, and it's not a color, it's not a go-to color for me, but I wanted to try it, and so I was just trying out different things. You can see on here as well, so just trying different color combinations. And yeah, this is a really nice way to do that because they are very quick and easy to use. So this one is just a little sketch next to some watercolor swatches. And I'm pretty sure that quite a few things on this page are Neocolor too, and also pencil as well. So, and then this is the Hahnemuller sketchbook. This is another one from around that time, 2018, 2017. And this one is actually gelatos. So these are similar to Neocolor IIs. You can use them in all the same kind of ways, and you can see there that you can kind of add the line over the top of them, back over the top as well. This one here, I used actually a white oil pastel to try and get a relief, but then I didn't want to use the oil pastel on my good brush, so I didn't try that again. But I'm hoping that maybe the Neocolor I will do this a similar thing. And then this here is the, I think this is just the light beige Neocolor II, as kind of that line work kind of resist underneath the watercolor there as well. So, and then I think these are also the Neocolors, so you can see there that I used them quite a lot in that way, and I find that a really nice way to use them to create a palette from them as well. So the fourth way that we're going to use them is to actually make a little half pan out of them. So you can see this is honeysuckle. It smells so beautiful. So we have some growing, and yeah, really lovely. So anyway, this is, I had a little broken bit of one of the Neocolors, and I thought I can just pop this straight into a half pan, and you can kind of wet it and sort of push it down, and it'll stick a little bit better, and you can kind of just squeeze the little bits in as well. So that's a really nice way to use them as well. If you have little bits, you can just pop them in a half pan. And then this is their last way, the fifth way, that is just a nice way to use them. So this is like the beautiful afternoon shadows. And so I went out there, I really had 5 minutes because it just goes so quickly. And yeah, then I just came back to my desk and just added a little bit of Neocolor for the detail at the top. And you saw before, but I just pop that in the actual cup of water and use it and kind of wet it and then use it. So I really enjoy using water soluble materials like that, whether it's the Technalo, like a watercolor graphite pencil, or the Neocolor IIs, just dipping them straight into the water and then using them like that. It activates them, and then you can draw with them, but you're already getting that nice line. So this is just a little flip through of kind of the week, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry that's taken a little bit longer, and I will see you. I'll swatch out the cool colors, and I will see you pretty soon with that video. Have a lovely week, guys. Bye.